Stock tip. Best stock setups.
Welcome to this week's first daily update episode with me, Marcel Todia. The markets started the day with a bit of a hope that we might get ourselves a good bounce here and that we might reach 4,100 today. And indeed, we did have a breakout out of this triangle formation, but the breakout has failed in the end of the trading hours, and we are looking at an outside reversal here in the daily. So at the time being, I'm a bit pessimistic. I think we might just see continuation of our downtrend as of tomorrow, and if that happens, I think the next target would be 3,600, 3,700, somewhere in this range. And this is what I meant. So you have this nice triangle here, a breakout, and this was a very nice breakout, and for a moment there it looked like the market would be rallying, but the breakout failed, and normally this would mean downtrend again, breakdown after this breakout, and it would be just a couple of hours before we reach the previous low. So this is what normally happens. In the daily chart, you also see that we've reached 9-day moving average, and then we've turned back down again. So this would mean some weakness, and this might just mean a continuation of the downtrend. Now, I did say that the distance to the 50 moving average was pretty big and that the bounce was imminent, and I did say it like this, but you just have to go one step at a time, and after today's closing hour, then I am a bit cautious and a bit pessimistic about the substance of this bounce. So I was hoping for a nice bounce and in the range of 4,250, actually even 4,370, but I think it wasn't meant to be, and I think the market has other plans. It doesn't really matter if the market is going to turn down again. I am ready, and I'm waiting for the next support. The next support would be here, 3,650, 40, so to say. And if this happens, then as soon as we reach this market, then I am going to try to go all in again. At the end of today's trading hours, I actually closed my positions here, my options, my call options, and I decided to open a short on the SPY. Just cautionary with a stop at 4,060. Let's go back to the SPY with a stop at, I think the stop was at 404.50. I think that's where the stop is. So cautionary short, because we might just see the market fall and reach in the SPY 370. So if it does, or 360. So if it does happen, I would like to be very well positioned. So for the time being, this looks like a very nice entry. My entry was this denial of the breakout, so this failed breakout right here, I would say. So this was my entry. Now the Nasdaq moved pretty much in the same way, but I do have to say the Nasdaq still shows a bit more strength than the S&P, even though the Nasdaq finished with 1.1% in minus. Then from a technical standpoint, this is a bit more convincing than this failed breakout in the S&P 500. So I don't like the fact that this is a failed breakout. So if the market continues to rally today, I think I will look at the Nasdaq for the strength here, and I will say, okay, if the Nasdaq goes above 304, then I might just switch gears again, but anything else, I'm not that interested. So the Nasdaq, if you are aiming for For a long or a short position here, you should know in the Nasdaq you would go long above 304 and with a stop below 297, or I think 297, 296.5. This would be a nice stop. And you could also do it in the other way around, so short beneath 296.5, 297, and the stop above 303. So you could also do it like this. The IVM was also pretty much in the same range, and euro to US dollar managed to regain a bit of its losses, but it looks like a flag here, so it looks like a flag is developing here, so also not that much of a hurdle, so not that much of an optimism here. I'm curious what the next support would be, because at the moment we are at a historical low here, so this is the historical low, and I'm curious if the market can go any further down. Are we going to see parity? What's going to happen? So I am, for the sake of being, I am very curious in which direction this is going. And we are living some interesting times. Oil managed to consolidate its gains. We are seeing in the weekly chart a nice start of the week, and I think this trend might be continuing. You can see the oil hasn't lost any of its momentum here, hasn't consolidated, or hasn't pretty much remained at the same level the whole time above the 9 moving average in the weekly chart, as opposed to gold and especially silver. So what I can say about gold and silver is that they did manage to take over this support line again. Especially gold has never fallen beneath it, but for the time being, it's still looking a bit weak here, a bit sad. So nothing for me. Let's not forget the DAX. The DAX is also hovering above its last support line here. But I think we are going to see some losses as of today, because the markets are going to align today to this new situation, to these new closing hours. Okay, now for my portfolio, I actually opened some new interesting positions today. I had a very lucrative position here in CC. Let me get back to it. So in CC, this was my entry point. This was also the setup of the week. This was my entry here with a nice breakout. The stop was here, a nice breakout, and it climbed, and at one point today the CC was at 5.6 or 5.7%. It did consolidate a bit, and it did end the day with a bit more weakness than I was hoping for, but overall a nice profit for a single day. This was a very nice profit, and you might have seen it. This was our setup of the week, also posted on our social network sites, Facebook and Instagram. So I did enjoy it very, very much. Another trade was ABBV. ABBV, I initially posted it as a short candidate, and here you can see it as a short candidate with a stop in it 156. But the opportunity presented itself. The market had a bit of momentum overall, and if you see this trending line here, you can clearly see a breakout above it and a move above it. So I went long with the breakout. I think here is where I bought it, somewhere in this range, or I don't know, here in this range. And it did have some nice gains. My stop was just below the low 153, I think, and actually I closed the position. I will admit to it. I closed the position at the end of the trading hours because of the negative momentum we had in the SPY. So because of how we closed the SPY, I didn't want to keep it in my portfolio. We do have a bit of an overstretch here, and we are still on a downtrend here. We do have a bit of an overstretch after so many up days. and seeing how the markets overall ended, I didn't want to take a risk with it, and decided to pretty much take my profits and close the position. There are better candidates, and I didn't want to see this develop into a bad trade. Also, a trade I started last week after closing was a MCR. This one developed very nicely with a nice 1.3%. And let's see how it did intraday. So this was the trade, and this is where I bought it last week, I think somewhere here after hours, and today it just kicked off with a lot of momentum, and my stop, I think my stop is still here somewhere. You could argue that the stop could come here. Perhaps I will do it. Perhaps I will pull my stop at 12.65 or 12.70. There's both ways to go around it are good, so no need to argue about it. And my last position is a short in the PRG. This is also a nice long candidate, but I shorted it here. This is where I shorted it. This was my entry, and it's still going. So I don't see any reason to close it prematurely. You never know where the market is going. So for the time being, it's still going. It's still going really well. But I do think I will pull my stop here. My stop is now still here, and I think I will pull my stop to 27 or 27.8 or something like this. I don't want to risk anymore, and this might just be a stepping stone here. I don't want to have any losses. I don't want this stock to go above this point here. So that's why I think I'm going to pull my stop here. Okay, this is all for the second part of the portfolio. Now I'm going to show you the setups I've picked up for you this week. Let's get to it.